I think there's talent. Obviously, just look where they were drafted. Arnett was a first rounder. Casey Hayward's a former All Pro. Mullen was an early second rounder. Robertson and Johnson were fourth rounders. Then on the back end, you have Abram was a first rounder. Joseph was a first rounder. Mooring was a second rounder. So there is talent. So if they can coach these guys up, which Miles has a track record of doing, we could see a big jump, the Raiders coverage wise, but they still need a pass rush. Those guys can still be good. If the pass rush doesn't get there, then they're still going to look bad.
You're correct. If they're covering for 5 seconds, it don't matter. It don't matter, especially against Mahomes and Herbert, right? So as far as that goes,
and maybe Rodgers. We don't know.
It's not happening. I'm not sure. Well, let's go right into Rodgers right now. Why not? Silver lining's over. NFL time now for all the fans of across the spectrum here. We're talking all NFL here on the On Waivers podcast. Rodgers, like, to me, like I like to make sarcastic jokes. I like to be coy with my friends, the same way he was with Kenny Mayne in those interviews. I don't know if you've seen any of those. They were kind of funny. But this isn't late night TV. I mean, if he's gonna do it, I kind of respect what Julio Jones did when he was on Shannon Sharp's show. He said, I'm out of here. I'm absolutely out of here. I'm not staying here, and I want to win. And I'm definitely not going to Dallas. And then Skip Bayless had to start shedding a tear, as if they needed a wide receiver anyway. That'd be ridiculous if they had Julio Jones. But what were your thoughts about him? I still don't think, I don't think they're gonna fire Gutekunst. I think if they had an owner, they might consider it. If they had they weren't publicly owned, I think they might consider firing Gutekunst. But in Gutekunst's defense, and I know people don't want anybody to defend Gutekunst, they did make the Final Four 2 years in a row. It's not like this team is, 4-12.
No, I think every day that goes by, there's more smoke, which is going to lead to fire. I think there's a probably a 20% chance at this point that I would say that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Green Bay Packer week 1. Now, that doesn't mean that he won't show up at some point if they don't trade him. Mm-hmm. But I'd put it probably around 20% that he takes the first snap of the season right now. He's clearly leaking information to the media, to different sources. It's coming from him and his camp. It's not coming from the Packers. So I don't know. Jordan Love's there now. He's getting all the reps in the OTAs. I haven't seen many reports saying good or bad or how he's doing, but I don't find it surprising that there was only a handful of Packers that didn't show up, and it was Rodgers and the top 5 receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron's not there. I'm good. I'm not coming.
I mean, and that's cool. They can do that. I mean, then it's their right to do it. And, it is voluntary. So who's going to tell Devontae Adams he needs to show up? I mean, the guy performs at a high level when he plays. So that's crazy. But to me, I just feel like they're just, and maybe it's just me being naive. they have all the power in the situation because yes, he could not show up, but and he has a lot of money. So it's not like money is going to be an issue, but it's still game check, no game check, no game check, no game check. The fines add up. I mean, usually some teams don't, they get rid of the fines once if it's the guy they really want to come back anyway. They stopped that, right? They you have to take the fines now.
Yeah,
they stopped that. So
pay the fines.
They have to pay the fines now. So, I mean, I just don't see them actually pulling the trigger and making that deal. I just feel like they're just gonna say, hey, this is not gonna. I mean, by this time, we probably thought that Watson was gonna get traded, but we know why he hasn't probably got traded yet. As far as that goes, I just don't see them forcibly letting him go. I just don't say because I know in the NBA they can do that. James Harden can put on the fat suit and throw the ball away consistently. I mean, the Rockets could have not played him and just did that, but they traded him to give him a championship. I would have traded him. I would have did what I'll trade him to Siberia if he wants to get out of Houston that bad. But I just don't. That's
also why.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's also why I put the caveat that I don't see him taking snaps week 1 with the Packers. I didn't say they were going to trade him to another team, but I still think he's going to play for them at some point this year. I don't know if it's going to be week 1 though.
Me either. Yeah, I think he might hold his. I think that's true. He could have held his ground. Going back to the Raiders real quick, like how in this situation with Mac, right, years ago, like I'm pretty. If I have like a power stance in this situation, I could have. I mean, the Raiders could have said, "Hey, listen, I understand you don't like this coach. I understand you like the situation, but like we're not trading you." Is he? I mean, like, but wasn't Sean Gilbert the only guy who sat out an entire season?
Yeah, something like that.
Under dispute. So nobody sits out the entire season. So why not just stay your ground because the player's showing up?
And they had him under contract on a 5th-year option, so it's not like
Yeah. What
they
was the?
didn't.
Oh yeah,
Drew
exactly.
just punted and
Exactly.
said, "Give me the 2 first-round picks," and he hit the reset button. I know a lot of Raider fans are upset with not making the playoffs last year, but he basically tore the roster down the first year.
Yes.
So now he's building it back up. So now we need to see progress. We're in year 4, but really the first year he traded Mack and Cooper. The
Yeah.
second year he started to build up around him. And then after he's adding small pieces here and there, and then it's going to come down to how he used those draft picks. And right now it's not looking good for Farrell and Abram and Arnett, the guys and even Ruggs, who they've used these first round picks on. So they need those guys to develop, and then it'll make it all look better.
Yeah, I mean, no question about it. I just didn't. I just kind of thought about that real quick. But yeah, I mean, listen. Let's go over to Julio Jones. I mean, listen. There's a lot of teams who could use Julio Jones. If I'm him, like, I'll say this, and this is how it's just East Coast media just jackhammering ideas into your head as football fans. Like, if you're Julio Jones and you just watched the Patriots last year, even with every move they made this offseason, they still don't have Tom Brady. They have Cam Newton and a rookie quarterback who is not the rookie quarterback who you would say is Trevor Lawrence or the kid of Ohio State who we love, not Zach Wilson. Like, why are the Patriots a viable option for Julio Jones? Because like I don't see it, but people keep jamming that in my head from ESPN.
I don't see it. I wrote down my top 5 options or destinations for him. The Patriots did not make it. I think the easy thing to do is say, Belichick did make the playoffs. He's going all in. They're more than willing to trade for veteran disgruntled players. They have the cap room, but the situation is they have a rookie quarterback who's not a dude. He's just a guy that you hope can settle in to be an average quarterback in this league, and it's going to take time for him to get up to speed. Julio Jones doesn't have time to wait for Mac Jones.
Got 2 more years.
And there's no other. Yeah, and that's an offense too. If you look at it, they're going to run the ball, and they invested clearly in 2 tight ends, and Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, and they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. And Julio Jones will be standing on the outside getting double teamed, and he's got a rookie quarterback. So, and it's cold weather. He's played in a dome his whole career. Exactly. He's never played a full season outside.
Played in Bama in college.
I just don't see.
Yeah.
Could it happen? Yeah, if Belichick wants to throw a first rounder in there, but I'm sure Julio is going to have some say in this as far as where he's going to go. But they would not make my top 5 list.
Yeah, he just said that he probably say he won't show up. Let's go with your top 5, and it's top 5. This is for people listening on the podcast and then watching us on YouTube. This is Ryan's top 5 list of where best fits for Julio Jones. Let's go 5 to 1. Who's the fifth? Who's in the 5th place?
All right, so I tried to do a combination here of the team around them, what their current cap situation, or how easily can they create cap, who the coaching staff is, and then obviously the quarterback's going to play a role in this too.
Mm-hmm.
So coming in at number 5, I would say the Tennessee Titans. Now, biggest detriment there would be cap space. They have, I want to say like $4 million. It's not a lot. Or I have it right here in front of me, $3.3 million. But I'm sure there's some contracts. Tannehill is the quarterback. He's entrenched there. They can move some money around and get him under. He's friends obviously with Derrick Henry from their time at Bama. They just lost Corey Davis on the outside, so they need that big physical guy opposite of AJ Brown. And that's a place that I know that he can go to. It's not far from Atlanta. It's close to the South. They're a team that's been in the playoffs the last couple of years, so I could see that being a fit. I'd say the Tennessee Titans at 5 would come in at 5. Number 4, Raider fans are probably going to get too excited here, but I put the Raiders at 4. Clearly, we just talked about good quarterback, good situation, south, weather, cap space. The reason I'd have the Raiders at 4 is clearly John Gruden has always wanted that dominant alpha on the outside. It's why he traded for Antonio Brown. That didn't work out. He tried to bring in Martavius Bryant. That didn't work out. He's always been searching for that outside dominant X receiver, which they don't have on this roster right now if Brian Edwards isn't that guy. And he's not right now. So that's something that they need to develop. But they can easily create this money by extending Derek Carr to bring in Julio Jones. I don't think Gruden's risk averse enough to not throw a second round pick into this and see where they go. They're indoors. They're in a dome. It's a high-scoring offense. I think Julio Jones will be excited. They have a running game. They have Darren Waller. They have Ruggs to take off the top. They have a third down slot receiver and Renfrow. So I think the Raiders are a slightly better fit. It's a better offense for Julio Jones to go into. They're not going to run the ball 38 times a game like Derrick Henry will in Tennessee. And they play indoors. I think that's not a lot of people are talking about that. I think playing indoors and having good weather down the stretch is something Julio will be interested in because that's all he's ever done. Yeah. So I would put the Raiders at 4. And clearly trading him to the AFC would be the preference of the Falcons.
Exactly.
I could put some NFC teams. There will be some NFC teams on here, but there'll be 3 AFC and 2 NFC. I'll give a preview of what's to come. But I would go Titans 5, Raiders 4. At number 3, I'd say the Green Bay Packers. They need to do something to get Aaron Rodgers back in there, show him that they want to put playmakers around him. They have a little bit more cap space than the Raiders. I think they're at 4.9. But now we're talking outdoors and weather. But Green Bay's been a team that's been to the NFC Championship game several times in the last couple of years. And they have a small window. If they can get Aaron Rodgers back in there, you're looking at a 2, 3, 4-year window where Julio Jones in that offense opposite Devontae Adams with Jones in the backfield.
My God. I could play tight end on that
I know
team.
they don't play a ton of defense, but Aaron Rodgers is going to put up huge numbers. Yeah. And Julio Jones has never played with Aaron Rodgers. He's played with Matt Ryan. So who knows what he can do to stay healthy. But, again, he's not going to have to be the dominant one. You're not going to roll coverage to him because they have Devontae on the other side. So I think if Aaron Rodgers was in camp and he wasn't, putting up a fight, that they would be lower on this list. But I think the management with Green Bay is going to have to do something to pacify Rodgers at some point.
Question about that. Do they say, could they make that phone call and say, listen, we have a deal in principle ready to go with Julio Jones. You coming or not? Like, let's roll. Like, bad blood is one thing, whatever. We're doing exactly what you want. We're bringing in a big time star. How many cuts would they have to make to kind of get that roster? I'm looking at their cap right now, and the cap is from over the cap right now. It's on the YouTube part. Do they have are they have to cut some big names to make room?
No, all they have to do is restructure Aaron Rodgers' contract.
And that's it. Oh, man.
Well,
that's it. Well,
that's why the Raiders and Packers are on this list, because all they have to do is extend the quarterbacks, and then they can create the room. It's not difficult. If you're another team that doesn't have a quarterback that you can move the money around, it's going to be much harder if you're at the bottom of this cap space list.
And for the Raiders' point of view, I look at what having Julio Jones really helped the development of Calvin Ridley. Like, Calvin Ridley is the reason why they can move on from Julio Jones is because Calvin Ridley has just been anybody who plays fantasy or just watches the Falcons, he's just a monster, especially in the red zone. He's a great receiver in that area too. So just another thought, Henry Ruggs and Brian Edwards could definitely you could play those guys and then still have Julio and Darren Waller. That'd be kind of a treat to kind of watch the Raiders do that. That'd be Rice and Tim Brown again.
And you have Jacobs in the backfield as a defense. Who do you take away?
Exactly. I like that. But maybe you can get a little fancy creative on that one. Who's number 2?
Well, another quick point on the Raiders. For the Raider fans that are out there, like, he's 32 years old, he's injury prone. Why would we give up a second-round pick? We can spend a whole show talking about the second-round picks that actually made in the last 8 years. And
Oh my
none of
God.
them are going to be in the same league as Julio Jones. But,
Exactly. Exactly.
Number 2 on the list, I would put the San Francisco 49ers. They have the cap space. Who knows if they start Garoppolo or they go to Lance. My concern there with Lance is he's a rookie quarterback. I don't know if Julio would want to be in that, but he's played in the system. He knows Kyle Shanahan, who was his OC in Atlanta. There is some familiarity with you. You're on the West Coast. It's good weather.
The division is murder.
It has a good defense. The division is murder. So that's the one concern. But he's got two physical guys in Ayuk there. Obviously with Deebo Samuel. Then you have Kittle as well at the tight end. So there is weapons. The question mark why they're not number 1 would be the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
You want to go play with a rookie quarterback.
They can't. Yeah, they can't be number 1. They can't be.
And if you're the Falcons, do you want to trade him to the 49ers?
No.
Keep him in the NFC? I don't know.
No.
Be Deion Sanders all over again, going from the Dirty Birds to the 49ers.
Exactly. So I have a number 1 in my head. So I'm trying to see if it's the same number 1 as you, because we did not share information before this show.
No.
Who is it?
And I've been saying this for weeks now. So I think the number 1 destination is the Colts. I've always been saying
really.
Okay. The Colts have the cap room.
Okay.
Go out and get them. They just invested in Carson Wentz.
Uh-huh.
They don't have that dominant outside receiver. They have a really good offensive line. They have a really good running game. They have some speed receivers, but they don't have the outside guy that can be a physical guy down the field. And if they really want to know what Carson Wentz is, and I don't believe in Carson Wentz personally, but if that management team wants to know about Carson Wentz and you give him Julio Jones and he doesn't produce, it's really easy to move on from him.
Yeah, I think they're
young. They're young on the outside.
The only thing that scares me, the division is fine. The division part of it isn't. I mean, you got Tennessee. That's probably about Tennessee, and that's it. The thing that scares me is just that I love the coach. I mean, the guy under center is. I don't trust him.
No,
I don't trust.
But if you're
him.
Chris Ballard, who might be one of the top 2 or 3 GMs as far as obtaining draft capital and moving around in the draft and understanding what he needs to do. Losing a 2nd-round pick is going to mean nothing to that organization.
No, it's not.
So if you can get Julio Jones for a number 2 and get him in my concern with the Seahawks is Pete Carroll wants to go back to use a John Gruden quote, 1998. He's all he's been talking about is run the ball, and he already has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and they just drafted Dwayne Eskridge with their first pick, a slot receiver. Yeah, you can put him in this offense, but what happens when you turn around and give the ball to Chris Carson 300 times? Does Julio Jones really make a difference in that offense if they're just going to run the ball? I don't know that he does.
I think that is that was my number 1 team. My number 1 team getting him, and you made a good point. I just feel like at that point you have to you got to abandon for this kind of talent. I mean, you got to. I mean, you want to talk about it? It's about scoring points. You're going to need points in this division. You're playing. 3 good teams in this division. They're all going to be able to score points. No matter what you think your defense is, Pete Carroll, it's not Legion of Boom, and it's not going to sit there and just shut people out. I see what he wants to do. Get some stops and then run the football. But you can run the football a little bit, but you get a chance to have Lockett, Metcalf, and Julio Jones. I mean, you got to just – and I always give Lockett a credit because I thought Lockett was just going to be a kick return, punt return guy. He's turning to be a really good receiver in this league. I mean, he's a fantastic receiver. But,
if the Seahawks can get him, I'm not against it. I just don't know if the fit is as good as it is other places.
What about the Rams, who could care less about any first-round pick whatsoever? They'll give him a first in 2000. I mean, it would probably be 2035, but they'll give a first.
My concern there is they just brought in Deshaun Jackson, who is a speed guy. They have Kupp, they have Woods, they have guys that are going to be good in that offense that know their roles.
Yeah, and how much
should they use them? Sure.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I mean, and they went out and then they draft a guy. Who did they draft in the 2nd round? The kid out of Louisville, the skinny guy, Tutu Atwell. So, I mean, they have options, guys they like. Could they use the big dominant X receiver? Yeah. Is it going to be an offense that's tailored to him, or is he going to be asked to come down the box and block and do all the stuff they ask their wide receivers to do? I don't know if Julio Jones at 32 years old wants to do that a lot.
Yeah.
I think he wants to run down the field and catch touchdowns. But
that's what I think. I mean, and I think it's going to be situation driven, head coach driven. It's going to be definitely 100% quarterback driven. I think, and that's why I think he could be the saving grace for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I think they might have an opportunity there to bring him in and save that situation. It'd be a perfect timeline, couple of seasons. I think Devontae Adams is coming up on a deal as well. So you get him. I mean, you can do something with him as well. So I do think that they can. I mean, listen, they're only Green Bay is only concerned with Tampa Bay. They're not concerned. Yeah. They're not concerned with Justin Fields. They're not concerned with anybody else in the NFC. Their only goal, the only purpose this season is to win a ring and beat Tom Brady. So that's the biggest thing they have to overcome. They almost did it last year, and they're going to try to do it this year. Got a lot of beef with CBS Sports in their Twitter, in their Instagram feed. Like they are just they got to stop. They got to stop. Like I get it. I mean, and it's only for clicks and like how you're gonna look at the screen. And I've unfollowed them because I just can't do the Tebow stuff. I just can't. Like he looks jacked. It's like, dude, like he shouldn't even have this opportunity. So like and I mean, if he was gonna do this, he should have done it years ago. Like you guys got to stop. I just can't do it. Any thoughts on this is just a circus thing right here, right? I mean, if he actually so many jerseys they sold, Tim Tebow jerseys in Jacksonville. I mean, this is like
the number one selling jersey in the league according to Fanatics.
A clown, this is a clown car. So if that happens, he's making a team. Somehow, some way, he's making his roster.
Third string tight end. Is he going to be able at 33 years old to play the special teams he's going to need to play to be on that roster? I have concerns. I don't think he makes the roster, honestly.
We'll see.
I don't see it.
Just go coach. Go coach. Go coach. Go coach with a jersey on if you want to do that.
I saw a good quote from a defensive coordinator. They asked him about Tim Tebow playing quarterback, and he said, "I didn't even have to scheme against him when he played the best position he could at quarterback. Why would I be worried about him as a tight end?"
Yeah, I know. Not a great athlete at all. No. Best rate in the quarterback, rate in the coaching staffs in the NFC. You get a chance to go through that.
The NFC West, the
NFC West, 4 teams there.
Yeah, I'll just quickly give the order, and then I'll give a quick snippet on each one. But I would rank them Rams first, 49ers second, Seahawks third, and the Cardinals in a distant fourth.
Okay.
And it was kind of a combination. The head coach, obviously, it was more weighted to who I believed in more as a head coach.
Yes.
And then who were the coordinators. This is an interesting division because all of these teams have young coordinators that haven't really had a lot of experience. So if you look at the Rams, obviously, I believe in Sean McVay out of all those head coaches, but they have Kevin O'Connell as the OC and Raheem Morris is the defensive coordinator. I believe in Morris as a defensive coordinator. That was kind of the tiebreaker here because when you look at the 49ers, obviously Kyle Shanahan, but on the offensive side, it's Mike McDaniel and DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans has never been a defensive coordinator. So the tiebreaker between those two staffs to me was Raheem Morris and the experience that he's had running defenses. The Seahawks, I like Pete Carroll. I don't like the other two. We don't know anything about Shane Waldron coming up from the Rams. He's never been an OC. And we could spend another episode talking about Ken Norton Jr., so I won't do it today.
We should. We'll go back in time.
And then clearly the Cardinals, Cliff Kingsbury, I think this is a do or die year for him. He's got to make the playoffs. They're not going to stick with him forever with Kyler Murray if he doesn't. And then I don't even know who Sean Klugler is. Apparently he's the OC. And then Vance Joseph is the defensive coordinator. So a lot of young guys with not a lot of play calling experience and what's going to be a really
Did you go over the Niners? Did you forget the Niners?
No, yeah, they came in at number 2, obviously with Shanahan, and then Mike McDaniel is the new OC. He hasn't done it yet, and then DeMeco Ryans never been a defensive.
Oh yeah, he's DeMeco Ryans. He's
a hot name, but
yeah.
Yeah, the tiebreaker between the Rams and the 49ers for me was Raheem Morris. I like him better than DeMeco Ryans because we just haven't seen DeMeco do it. He might be better, but there's a lot of question marks on the coaching staffs, coordinator-wise, in the NFC West.
Yeah, I am very interested to see the Rams. Like when you make a move like that, I am I can't wait to see how that works out. I mean, I love their receiving core. I love Cooper Kupp. I love Robert Woods. Fight on. Both of those guys are they're just really good wide receivers. Also, they block. They do all the little things you want. Talk about tendencies. Yeah, you ever see him not run a bunch formation when he not run a bunch formation?
Well, they do. Tight formation.
That's all they do.
Don't overlook Deshaun Jackson in that offense, though.
Yes, I will. I definitely. I always like Deshaun Jackson, but I mean, there are like other sides of the field. You can spread out just a little bit, Sean, but and Cam Akers, I think Cam Akers came on last year at the end of the season, so we'll see what happens out there. So Put On Waivers podcast, NFL show. We're gonna call it. We're gonna call it right now, and thank you for joining us here. I know there's a lot of things going on in the world of sports, and we appreciate all the views and all the comments. And I know that I said I was gonna get to some questions, but blame BD. He was a little bit late. How there, Ryan? Got anything else?
No, that's about it. We had some more topics. We'll just roll those over into next week. But no, it was a good episode. Got to talk to BD. He really knows that Raiders defense, and he's studying Gus Bradley. And then, just Julio and Aaron Rodgers. Those are going to be the marquee things to talk about until there's movement on either side for the next 2 months. Well, there's nothing going on.
There's no question about it. And it's not going to be. It's going to be like. I mean, that's the way it's going to be. I don't think anything on the Watson front is coming. I just feel like, because he might be on the exempt list. I know that he put out a video and everything like that, but I think he might be on the exempt list when they all said and done. So we'll see what happens as far as
the Texans are collecting quarterbacks like Gruden collects tight ends. So we'll see. Like they just keep signing quarterbacks every week. So something's going on behind the scenes there that they don't believe that Deshaun Watson's going to be there.
If they're interested in Nathan Peterman, I can make a deal. I can make a deal for Nathan Peterman as far as that goes. Maybe. All right. See you next time, man.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
No problem.